Satisfy, O God, that which we are called to do. We give you praise, we give you thanks in Jesus' mighty name. And every believer will say amen.
Amen.
If they pick the other or no, you can cross work like this past
We all welcome once again to this program where we will listen to some presentations, and then after that we'll have a data fair exhibiting things that we do at the Ghana Statistical Service. We sell ourselves to the public, and then we conduct the data home. So please make sure that after the presentation, the first site, and then you see what goes on in Ghana Statistical Service. So without much time wasting, I'll call upon the government statistician to give us opening or welcome remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sese. Acting Director, Regional Statistics. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. It's always a pleasure to have Sese privilege to give a welcome or new remark. And that is what I'm going to enjoy in the next 10 minutes or so. I want to start by acknowledging the presence of our colleagues from the business service for joining us. Equally acknowledge the presence of our media colleagues for joining us. Otherwise, if I scan through the room, I think most of us are related to Ghana Statistical Service, either as staff, as an intern, or as a national service person. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
As part of the week-long activity, we decided to have a data fair. So what I want to do is to motivate why we are having the data fair and get you to know the roles that we expect each one of you to play as an ambassador to the 2022 African Statistics Week celebration. Indeed, this is a continental recognition. 18 November has been set to be the African Statistics Day. And this year, in collaboration with the Economic Commission of Africa, the African Union, they decided to have a theme which focuses on how, as a continent, we can modernize and transform statistics using agric as the main driver. And they are modernizing this from two perspectives. One, how do we ensure that we get a closer working relationship between agricultural statistics and policy? And secondly, how we can relate agricultural statistics to the two broad outcomes of agricultural statistics, which are food security and nutrition. So the conversation that we're going to have, or we are having this week as Ghana Statistical Service, is being driven by this theme. this team, how we're going to modernize agriculture statistics to ensure that it has a closer working relationship with agricultural policy, and also a direct relationship with the outcomes of agricultural statistics, which are food security and nutrition. We decided to have this data fair based on the following reasons, and these are the demonstrations that we are going to show throughout the day. If you have a copy of the program, the first thing that we're going to do is to get the acting director for our social and demographic statistics directorate, in the person of Mr. Omar Seidu, walk us through the innovations that we are doing on the front of the Sustainable Development Goals. Ghana is one of the few countries that have had the opportunity to demonstrate the extent to which we are reaching the 232 goals. And as of this morning, I've been told that the demonstration that we're going to see today suggests that we've covered more than 50% of the Sustainable Development Goals. And it's going to touch on how this data is accessible to us. So the first pivot of conversation has to do with the innovations that we are doing from the perspective of Sustainable Development Goals. We're then going to have a conversation around the Consumer Price Index, which is one of the maiden flagship statistics that we release as a service. Why we are doing this again is on the front of innovation. Ghana Statistical Service, since its inception, has religiously released Consumer Price Index rate of inflation on a monthly basis. Around this time, there's a lot of conversation around how that is related to our day-to-day activities. So management, through the support of the Office for National Statistics, has decided to share with Ghanaians the personal experiences that we all have when it comes to Consumer Price Index and rate of inflation. So for the first time, we are launching how you can calculate your own personal inflation based on the items out of the 307 items that we have in our basket that each and every one of us consume. So if your consumption is skewed towards a middle class person, if your consumption is skewed towards a high class person or a low class person, the expectation is that that personal inflation calculator will be different from the national figure, which currently stands at 40.4%. The other thing that we're going to do today is to share with you the producer price index, or the producer inflation. Why this is important, why this is timely, is that until September 2022, we're relying on a 2006 basket, which was reflective of the economy as at that time. We started data collection around 2018, and in September 2022, we've been able to rebase our producer price index, and now it doesn't focus on only 3 sectors. Indeed, it focuses on 8 major subsectors. And as you all would know, producer price index is the flip side of consumer price index, because it looks at changes in price levels from the producer's perspective other than the consumer's perspective. So contrary to what we do every second, third week of the month, where we do a press release, now we want to have a much closer relationship with media on a one-on-one basis. And today we're going to share with media and to the public, both in Ghana and beyond, the October 2022 producer price inflation and producer price index. You all will recall that in 2021, we did the 2021 population and housing census. The product, as at then, we said was we're going to give out over 2.6 million indicators, and that is what we are working at as a service. We want an interactive use with the data. We want personal use with the data. So again, contrary to what we did in 2010, 2000, and the years before that, we've developed a census dashboard. We've released the micro data, 10% of it, which has been fully anonymized to the general public. And today we're going to demonstrate how you can use the micro data without looking at the 10% micro data. That is, if you want to do any tabulation within your district, within your locality, across any 2 different variables that for some reason we don't have it as part of any of our reports, you'd have the opportunity to work with that data. So that is the 4th innovative product that we're going to share with you today. The last but one has to do with issues around what we call trade vulnerabilities. We all are witnessing the aftermath of the Russian invasion of Ukraine, how it has affected our consumer price index, how it has affected our exchange rate, and indeed how it continues to affect other macroeconomic indicators. And one of the hypotheses that we're putting out at Ghana Statistical Service is how are we vulnerable to different countries, especially if you look at our 2021 import data, which suggests that we import, in terms of volume, about 30% of what we import comes from China. And when you think about specific products that we get from single or just two countries, it clearly demonstrates the vulnerabilities that we have as a country. And one of the products that we're going to launch, hopefully next month, is a regular quarterly release of Ghana's trade vulnerabilities. So we are using today as a platform, those of you here, to walk around the booth to see how the initial data that we have collected from our collaboration with the Ministry of Trade and Industry through ICAMS on how Ghana is vulnerable to different products and to different countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the last product, which climaxes why we are celebrating a continental African Statistics Week based on agriculture, is to share with you why we got Mr. Omar Seydu to sit on the high table, as he is the one driving the evolution of non-traditional data sources. Ghana Statistical Service is working tirelessly to ensure that, at the minimum, we complement our surveys and censuses with administrative data and big data. And that responsibility falls within his domain. In that regard, one of the things that we're going to demonstrate today is efforts that we've made with the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. We've picked their data on prices, we've picked their data on yields, and one of the things we're going to demonstrate is where different staples in Ghana are produced, how prices of these grains vary across different geographical areas and vary across time. And a dashboard, a preliminary dashboard, has been developed in that regard, and it's one of the things that we're going to showcase to you. This clearly points to the innovations that over the year we've been trying to put in place to ensure that policymakers continue to realize the value of the work that we do in terms of the statistics that we are churning out to ensure a much closer working relationship between statistics and data. Having said this, what we require of you as management of the service is for you to be ambassadors. As I indicated, it's a week-long celebration. On Friday, we're going to do the headline. We're going to mark the celebration. But we want people like you, as the celebration goes on, you educate them on what is evolving in Ghana Statistical Service, especially the complementary role between censuses, administrative data, and big data, which would only allow us to produce more data to enhance a much closer working relationship with policymakers. I do believe that you would wholeheartedly accept this responsibility as ambassadors to move Ghana Statistical Service forward. I wish all of you a very instructive engagement in the next couple of hours that we're going to bear with you. Somewhere along the line, I would have to excuse myself because there's a virtual meeting I have to join, but I'll come back later so that we'll crown the day with a success. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kobina Enim. We are grateful for these opening and welcome remarks. As ambassadors, we need to visit the stands and make sure that we understand whatever goes on so that we'll be able to communicate the message to the general public. So you begin from your home, your wife, your husband, your children, your brothers, your sisters, and then when you begin from there, then it escalates. So let us do our possible best and make sure that we put GSS on the pedestal that we will all be proud of as being associates of the service. Thank you very much once again, Professor Nim. We are grateful. Next on our item, on our agenda, is to have a presentation on the SDGs. regarding the national reporting platform. You see the indicators and everything that goes on with the sustainable development goals. So we invite Mr. Omar Seidu, Head Social and Demographic Statistics Directorate, to do that honors for us. Mr. Seidu.
Thank you very much. I would want to stand on the protocols that have already been established. It's an honor to speak about the road or the journey we have taken in ensuring that Ghana, as one of the countries that has signed on or that have adopted the Sustainable Development Goals, is able to monitor progress that we have made over the years. As you may be aware, the Sustainable Development Goals were adopted in September 2015, and the indicator framework for monitoring the 17 goals and 169 targets were adopted in 2016, in March 2016, 231 indicators. So in 2016, 2017, GSS led a national effort to assess our capacity as a country to monitor the goals using the 231 indicators. At the time, we could only monitor 57 indicators, that as of 2017. Then in 2018, when we published the baseline report for Ghana, 63 indicators could be monitored, or we reported on 63 indicators. And Ghana joined a number of countries in 2019 to go to New York and demonstrate to the UN how Ghana is achieving the SDGs. And that was our first voluntary national review in 2019, July. We had reported 73 SDGs indicators. Fast forward 2022, in July 2022, Ghana was one of the countries that again went to New York at the UN to demonstrate how we are implementing and achieving the SDGs. And in our Vienna report that was published by the National Development Planning Commission, we had 102 indicators. So from the 2019 to 2022 July, we had moved from 73 indicators to 102 indicators. And I recall in New York, there were quite a number of questions that came up to try to understand how Ghana has been able to leapfrog in increasing the indicator stock. But that did not end there. Today, we're going to launch the National Reporting Platform with many more indicators. And as my colleague Cyrus will be walking us through it soon, you will see that we currently have 124 indicators that Ghana is reporting on. One of the exciting things is the fact that there's one of the indicators that Ghana, in September last year, 2021, Ghana was the first country in the world to use the new methodology provided by the UN Environment Program, UNEP, to publish that indicator in the global repository. That is the SDG indicator 14.1.1b. So at this point, a number of colleagues have worked tirelessly to get us to where we are today. And there's a short documentary that we want to play to see those who have, and the process we have taken to get to where we are today before the NLP is shown. The documentary, please.
The training that we've been carrying out this week has been really positive. I've been really impressed by the enthusiasm and the knowledge of the team here. But it's also it's kind of highlighted the importance of it to me in developing the Ghanaian SDG reporting platform to be as advanced as possible. And there's the kind of two sides to this for me. There's that one side, which is about developing the platform as much as possible. We want it to be as advanced and as user-friendly for everyone who's going to navigate towards it and is going to find use for it in the future. So that is one strand of my training here, has been to be able to provide and kind of assist in that sense. But I think the more important part of it, of this week, has been more about developing the skills of the team here so that the platform can be managed sustainably after that I'm gone.
We have some key milestones that we are expecting to achieve in the course of this work. And so it's our expectation that by the time we are ending this session on the Friday, we have covered enough grounds that we would be happy that we are on the right path towards relaunching the NRP.
So as most of you are aware, the Ghana Partnership Program has been in existence for a while now, and basically it's to promote statistical development. And revamping the national reporting platform is a very essential aspect of that. So I'm very convinced.
For standardization and comparability, there should be a whole frame for all UN member countries to ensure that if you are saying this thing here is a fluorescent bulb, you need to describe it so that all of us, when we pick the document, you will not say that it's Belacqua water, but it's a fluorescent bulb.
SDMX is what you will be using for your data and for your metadata in terms of uploading all of that to the platform. So SDMX is this, it's Statistical Data and Metadata Exchange. That's what it stands for. You don't need to know that particularly. But the reason why we're using it, and the reason why a lot of countries with regards to their Sustainable Development Goals data and metadata will use SDMX, is that it's an international standard, so it's kind of widely accepted.
This training has been very timely, and I think it's really coming to, it has equipped participants, and it's going to sort of revamp the whole platform and then help with the monitoring of the several agendas we have.
There you go, so these are loads of definitions. We've got, here's the source, so we've already telling us where this information is coming from. And then, yeah, here we go, providers. So your national metadata tab is capturing all that information, but what it does mean is you have a sources tab. Now, I could show you how to fill your sources tab with the information that if you go to the UK platform, which is this tab up here. So in the UK, if you go in the sources tab, I could show you how to fill it so that you have all this information in here.
This is an indicator. Number of countries that have a national statistical legislation that complies with the fundamental principles of official statistics. So this indicator, we'll have to check how other countries have reported this. And then we in this case, we would link the Statistical Act in there.
We've been battling with maintaining or developing a sustainability action plan that will help Ghana Statistical Service to prolong the life of this project, the National Reporting Platform project.
Through this training, we've been able to learn a lot about handling our data and then the SDG, the Open SDG in general. We've been able to learn how to upload data, model our data, and then the metadata also.
This workshop has actually helped me because now we understand all the technical aspects involved in the development of the National Reporting Platform.
With the exposure we had with OTIS from the ONS, I can say that we are very confident when we are comparing ourselves to other countries.
The training that was provided this week gave the staff the grounding to be able to provide training for subsequent staff so that they're confident and they're upskilled in the way that the platform is managed.
This training is very important because this platform must be managed very well. And because knowledge empowers, this training is upscaling the skills of all the team members that have been privileged to work on this platform.
So far, the training has been helpful. It has been eye-opening on all the problems with our site, what we can do to manage them, and then how to navigate the GitHub repository.
Cyrus Pesidapo, who is leading the revamp of the NRP, to walk us through the NRP so that you see the data we have on it, how you can access it. And as we speak now, we have made it live, so anyone, anywhere in the world can access the National Reporting Platform. Cyrus.
Thank you so much for the privilege. So may I recognize the presence of the government statistician, the management, and all the directors here, and all invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's a real privilege today to adore the revamped National Reporting Platform on the Sustainable Development Goals. So a lot of work has been done so far, as you can see. Now, it's still in alpha stage, meaning that this is work in progress. So we are working around the clock to make sure that it will meet every global benchmark that will put it on the global stage. So when you go to the platform, and the link to the platform is sdgs-ghana.github.io. You can link directly to it, or otherwise we'll project that also. Otherwise, you can access the platform from the Ghana Statistical website. That is statsghana.gov.gh. So there's a link from that platform that, it's named the National Reporting Platform. You can link from that to this. So when you go there, you will see that we have done our best to customize the page of the platform, putting Ghana up there with the interactive map at the top. Right. And we've also added some Ghanaian symbols in the symbols that reflect what each of the 17 goals is supposed to represent. So we're also working on making it more interactive, so that when you place your cursor on it, it will give you the meaning of the Idigra symbol at the top. Now, this platform is very unique because, as my boss, the project lead, Mr. Omar Seydu, said, it's based on GitHub, so it's very interactive. So when you go to the front page or go to the reporting status, it gives you the number of indicators that are currently being reported on. So it's divided between statistical indicators and then non-statistical indicators. You can see here, this is spread between the 17 goals from goal 1, no poverty, all through to goal 17, the partnerships for the goals. So this gives you a breakdown of how many indicators so far we have been able to report on under each goal. Now, this tab also discusses the overall disaggregation status of each indicator that has been reported on. So when you go to that tab, it gives you some background on the number of disaggregations that we've been able to achieve so far under each goal and under each indicator that we have reported on. When you get back to the goals tab, you realize that this page is quite interactive. You can just click on a particular goal, and then it will take you to the number of indicators, indicate exactly where there's a report. For example, goal 1, end poverty in all its forms. You look under that goal, you see that there are targets and indicators. For each target, you will realize that there are there's a certain caption at the right-hand side where we have reported on the indicators. For example, indicator 1.1.1. When you look at the far right, when you click on that, immediately the link takes you to the chart
Now, this platform is very unique in a sense that it is very interactive, and the data is reusable because you can download the data and then reuse it. It's in CSV, and you can also convert it to Excel. So it makes it very interactive. You have immediately the chart, and then you also have the table by the side. And for some of the, you see that we have a breakdown on the side where we have the disaggregations displayed and the categories. So you can select what you need, and it will immediately reflect in the chart. Right, so if you can kindly select the disaggregation. Right, for example, this particular indicator, we have the opportunity to select the regional disaggregation. So when it's selected, depending on what you want to see displayed or what analysis you want to do, it will immediately reflect in the chart. You also have the disaggregation in sex, female and male. Immediately you select that, it reflects in the chart. And also we have this unique feature of a map. Now we are still working on including it in all the indicators, but so far we've been able to embed it in a number of them. And the map is such that when you place your cursor on it, it displays the values that are stated in the tables and in the chart. So you can have a visual idea of what is happening in the table. And that's one of the reasons why GitHub is so important. This open source is so important. The visualization properties are immense. Another unique property of the platform is that it gives us an opportunity to write something about the indicator, what we call metadata, information that gives you immediate description on what the indicator is. So when you go to the national metadata, you'll see that we have tabs that displays exactly what the indicator is about. And you can do further study if you so choose. For example, what is being displayed here, you see the goal is noted there, the target, the indicator, the definition and concepts, and all these give you a background to what the indicator is about, the rationale, so on and so forth. We also have the source that takes you immediately to the source of the data. And we have a live link or hyperlink you can click on and go immediately to the report that this indicator data was taken from. So these are all unique features of the platform. Now, we can also try another indicator under goal 3. Indicator 3.3.3. So this one is, we have the options to either choose whatever chart we want to present on, right? So once you place your cursor on the line chart, it gives you the immediate values, and you see the years or the data points are displayed under that. Exactly. Now, there's something also important I need to point out to. So if you can kindly take us to the tabs underneath the download chat tab, the download chat. Yes, those. So immediately you see the data displayed. You can easily access, once you download it, the information comes. You can see the chart image. When you download it right now, it will come. And you can also download the data. Now, aside the statistical indicators, this platform is very also unique because it has given us an opportunity to present information on indicators that are not statistical, meaning we don't have figures and breakdown in the table, so on and so forth. So you can report on policies that are helping to achieve the SDGs. For example, this indicator 17, 18.2, number of countries that have national statistical legislation that complies with the fundamental principles of official statistics. You realize that when you look under this, we don't have any table there, but we have the relevant Ghanaian policies. And this points immediately to the Statistical Service Act 2019, Act 1003. When you click on that hyperlink, it takes you immediately to the policy document, and you can download it if you so choose, and make whatever references you want to do there. And all other relevant documents are also included. And of course, when you come to the National Metadata tab, we have also included information on the non-statistical indicator. So where we are still exploring data, you will see it indicated that we are still exploring data for that indicator. Now take indicator 16.A.1. This also gives you an opportunity to select whatever categories you would like to inspect or analyze. Children's rights, civil and political rights, and so on and so forth, property rights and women's rights. Once you indicate it, it immediately comes in that. When you deselect, everything disappears. That's how very interactive the platform is. When you select it, it shows immediately in the graph and the chart. And then the table also displays immediately the figures that are represented in the chart. You click on the goals or the front page, it brings you back to the home page where the goals are. So if we could kindly display the link to the website. So whilst my boss, the project lead, is coming to take over, he mentioned that this has been a synergy of collaboration between so many people. It's been amazing. It's a journey. We haven't gotten there yet, but it's taken a lot of sleepless nights to get to where we are by the grace of God. It's still in alpha. We haven't finished yet, but so many people have contributed to this. And it's important that we acknowledge every one of them. Some of them are here. Some of them are not here with us today because they are attending to other assignments. But we just want to acknowledge and appreciate the government statistician and his management team for all the help he's given us, and for the team that have been working with me and with under the dynamic leadership of Mr. Omar Seydou. We thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Cyrus. And I think it is important. I've seen Dr. William from ONS and Angelica here. They're very instrumental in getting us to revamp the NLP. Dr. William, can we wave for colleagues to see you? Angelica, yes, from ONS, they have supported us in getting this. And as I started speaking, I said we had 124 indicators. We have colleagues who are currently working. So now we have 127. Actually, by the end of the year, our expectation is to have not less than 130 indicators on the platform. And that will be probably the biggest number for any country in the global south to have on its NLP. Thank you very much. I hand over to
Thank you very much, Mr. Seydou, and shall we be a bigger one to them? We are so grateful. So please visit the site and you will be able to see what indicators we are reporting on regarding the Sustainable Development Goals. Ladies and gentlemen, as the program was going on, I recognize one of our board members who had come in, and we want to introduce to you a Chief Director of the Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Evans Agridako. Doc, you are welcome. Then also we saw our friends from the Ghana National Fire Service. You are welcome. Shall we give a hi from you? Yes, thank you very much. As and when we recognize you coming in, we will acknowledge your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, without much time wasting, shall we call on Mr. John Foster Kwabena Ajaho, head price statistics section, to give us presentation on personal inflation calculator. Oh, please do it for him. Aren't you happy? Eh? At home, you can do it yourself. So, John, my brother JFK, the only JFK in Ghana.
Thank you, our able MC. Good morning to you all. So the motivation for this is just to let everybody plan his or her life based on evidence. As my boss said, the Ghana statistician, inflation for Ghana is now 40.4. But then you hear people saying, is it real? It should be more or less. And we are saying that each individual will have different relation to inflation. The national average figure is an average of the basket that we have. Depending on your income levels and your expenditure, you may have different levels of inflation. And so we want to help you to make that decision as to how to change your preference and your taste, so that you will not be hard hit by the current economic situation that we are faced with. So it's just trying to help you save money small, you know. So this is the dashboard. It's going to be on our website. So when we come out and we say inflation is 50%, I hope we don't get there though, or 40.2 or whatever figure it is, you can go and calculate your personal inflation based on the item that you and your household consume. So for this is the screen. There's some hiding. I hope they can show me too. So we have the items classified. We have cereals and cereal products, things like rice, like maize, like wheat, and then we have things like condo, mori. Then we have meat. We have meat, we have milk and dairy products. So you can go through. Now, you have to put in there your expenditure on those items. So let's assume that, please, are you there? I bought maize, 60 cedis. So you enter 60 at where you have the Ghana city sign. The first one, maize, cereals and cereal products. And because I am a public servant, I work at the ministries, I always eat outside. And so I spend 200 Ghana on ready-made food. Just go down to ready-made food. After sugar confectionery, you have ready-made food. And you see, it's because of the screen, some of the, please can you scroll to the right so we see, to the right, please. Excellent. Excellent. So you see, once you enter your expenditure, we are supposed to see the personal inflation rate for your overall spending down there. So I entered, do you enter the 60 cities for me? And then 200 for food. Ready-made food, 200. Ready-made food is here. After sugar and confectionery, you see ready-made food, you put 200 Ghana cedis. Yes. So don't you just allow. I mean, just you enter the 200. Don't worry, enter the no problem. And then so as he's entering, the figures are changing, and they change based on the weights. So if we scroll to the right, we'll see what rate we have come. Once you vary your expenditure, the inflation changes. It changes based on three things. One is the amount of money you spend in your consumption. Two is the weight that is attached to each of the individual items. So for example, if I eat more of gobe, and maybe kenke, assuming they don't have much weight, and you eat a lot of fried rice and grilled chicken, and that has a huge weight, it means your inflation will be bigger than mine. And this is all that we just want to help Ghanaians to appreciate. So once we see that the economy is becoming something, okay, it's not unbearable, it's too hot, you can adjust. When you do this competition, okay, no, then I will stop eating fried rice. Let me take more kunkunte now and wait for things to normalize. Then I can come back. So that we all don't cry too much that, you see, we are all helping to make sure we are out of the woods. So GSS is giving that platform to also change your life based on the economic situation. So we invite you to the fair. We'll be there. We'll walk you through. Thank you for the opportunity. And whatever question you have, we are ready to answer.
Thank you very much, John. But let me tell you, kunkunte is one of the cheap foods. So don't say that you resort to kunkunte. Eh? Yes. Thank you very much, John. We are grateful. Now I can go and then put in and then see what the Osei family is spending, what our inflation is, and then we'll know whether to adjust or not. So thank you very much, John. But for now, we've had 2 presentations. Don't know, I believe that there will be some questions or contributions or issues that you will need clarification, and therefore we open the floor for about some 10-15 minutes so that we see if people have, so that when you raise your hand, we'll just look at it. So John and Kwesi and Mr. Omar, can you please be on the table? Yes, sir. Doc. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. I want to stand on the existing protocol so established to make some few points. I think that I am very happy with this personal thing, the personal inflation calculator that you talked about. But to make it much more practical, I was going to suggest that if you could have at least some 4 or 5 figures, okay, so that it will give us a fair idea of what the real picture will look like. You understand? I think that will help, so that if you have to adjust, you want to adjust based on empirical data. Is that not it? So for illustration purposes, if you could key in some 4 or 5 figures, at least then we can see what that will mean for all of us. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Doc. Any? Yes. Please use your...
Sir, I heard him talk about inflation, and he says inflation can vary based on individual expenditure. But I was expecting maybe he can also talk about inflation based on the regional levels. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can't see any hand. Okay, so for now, John, can you please?
Thank you. So permit me to take the second one so I come to the demonstration for us to see. So we always publish each month variation at the regional level. So I assume that we are aware of that. We are not bringing a novelty where we want individuals to relate to the inflation themselves in the calculation. So yes, inflation can vary based on regions, based on rural, urban location, based on the individual expenditure, and based on other factors. Today, the emphasis is more on what we, the individuals, experience and how we can relate to it. And that was why I limited the discussion to the individual expenditure. So, Jibril, let's help me enter five figures for my boss to. Okay, good. Yes, so we can say this. So, yesterday I was sick. So I went to Reach for ambulatory services, and they charged me 150 cedis. Down to GSS management tomorrow, they'll be screening for outpatient care service and a health. under health here. IT, are you there? Yes. Health. I want the outpatient. Outpatient. I don't want them to think that we are fixed on one thing. What I mentioned, let's do that. Let's do the outpatient. Let's put 200. Oh, you bought medicine for me, 200? No. Medicine was free. Medicine was free. Then let's go to tertiary education. I'm doing some distance learning. So I paid 500 Ghana. And then my rent, my knee attack is always on me. So this month I paid, they collect in dollars, but the equivalent is 1,400. So put 1,400 there. Rent, accommodation services, okay. Then the final one is the almighty fuel prices. So for the month, I have spent 2,000 Ghana on fuel. See, a poor public servant spending 2,000. So transport services 2,000. Great. So now what I'll do is we'll go and look at the rate, and I'll just ask anybody to just vary 2 of the things that I've mentioned, and we'll come back to look at what the rate will be. Let me see my inflation. Okay, that's okay for me. 2.5 is not too bad because I spent 4,300. Can I have a volunteer to just change, just for time's sake, 2 items? 2 of the items I mentioned. Or you can even add 2 any other item you want. I mean, I have no problem. Just 2. Any volunteer. Apisco, mention the item. How much you spend? That's my boss, so I can put him on the witness board. Sachet water. Let's go to food side. Water. Have you seen water? Just say, don't use screws here. After tea, cocoa drinks, water. How much? What is this? Ready-made food, okay. How much? 800 Ghana. My boss eat big. Okay, so let's go and see the rates. Let's go and see the rate. It's gone up to 8.2. There are 2 things that are happening there, just for understanding. We have bigger weight for ready-made food because most of us consume it and we consume out of home. So once you, and then you spend as much as 800 cedis. So you see the rate has gone up. So this is just to guide you, okay, if my inflation is now 8.2, maybe you have to stop eating from outside, I have to lower it. I'll do some tea from home, and then go and eat 1 bowl of kenke in the afternoon and come back and eat home. So this is the idea that we want you to. So as you are adding the numbers based on your expenditure, you are looking at the rate. If it's becoming too much, you adjust and you are comfortable. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much, John. I believe today you go home and then you begin to put it in practice because I am going to do that. Yes. Next round. Can't see any hand. On the national reporting platform,
Hello.
also, they are here.
Yes.
Okay, Nana.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. Yes, I heard JFK saying that's going to be on the website. And I would like to also suggest that hello? Yes. So looking at the development of technology, I would suggest hello? If you can also have it in Android format so that it can be on our smartphones, and wherever you are, you're going to be able to done following up on the website. It's going to be a little bit difficult for someone.
Thank you very much, Nana. Any other? Can't see any hand. John.
Thank you, Nana. Your, my boss, the government statistician, this one they say, Ochami Oni Kasa, Nana Widi Wasumwa. So Nana, thank you. I'll refer to my boss. I'm sure it's a good request that it would be nice we all have it on our phones. And our partners from ONS. So now you know there's another request. GS will come to you. So now we'll consider it. Thank you.
Okay. Also, on the national reporting platform, if there is any clarity you would need, please The time is now. Right. Other than that, gentlemen, thank you very much. In his opening remarks, he did mention that we're going to also look at the 10% micro data has been released, and expect that you will dig the data and work around it and see how best you can come out with reports and all those things to help Mother Ghana. To do us the honors is our own Simon Onilimo Tichutab. Shall we give him a hand? He works with the data processing unit. So he's doing this on behalf of her boss, Mrs. Jacqueline Anum. Simon.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Say. I want to rely on the already established protocol and walk us through the data that has been released for the 2021 population and housing census. So what I will do first is to go through a PowerPoint presentation indicating the models of the census, and after that I go with an interactive section walking us through how to access the data. So on behalf of Ghana Statistical Service, we are happy to announce that the 10% microdata of the 2021 population and housing census has been released for public use. So you can hit on our website and you have access to that data. So the sample is representative at district level. Because we are not releasing all the data, we are only releasing a portion of it, which is the 10% microdata. We did the sampling as lower as at the district level. So whatever statistics you want to generate, you have it at that level. We are also assuring the public of anonymity. The data has been anonymized. You cannot trace information in that data set to any household or person. And we're also saying that there are 5 subsections in that data, depending on the model that has been captured in our census questionnaire. So there are 5 data files in there, and I will explain to you the various 5 data sets. So we have the population variables. So that's the de facto population. So when you open the data set, you're going to have variables starting from P0 to, which in this case is the age variable. So when you look at the variable description, it's going to present to you the description of each of the variable up to P27. And these are information we captured on individuals within a particular household. For example, if I'm looking for information on education, I go to P12A, P12B, P12C, and this will give me information on school attendance status. It gives me information on the level of education. It also gives me information on the grade attained of the individual member in the household. We also have information on housing and sanitation. And here information, as we know, was obtained on housing characteristics, the floor material, the roofing material of the house, and all that. And then the sanitation, how they dispose of their liquid wastewater and solid waste and all that. Then information on mortality, household death. This information was also at household level. Then immigration, and then also have information on household members who were absent on census night. So when you go into the data, you're going to have access to all this information in the data. So because we are not releasing all aspects of the data, there is a weight variable in there which can approximate the 10% to the national level, right? So you don't have to worry. If you need information on the entire population, you just use the weight variable, and that gets you the information at the national level. So we've released the data in 3 formats according to the needs of our users. So we have it in a stata format, We have it in SPSS format and also the CSV format. So whichever format you are comfortable in, you go for that. And then there is also a documentation. There's one thing we need to understand, that before you use any data set, you have to understand what goes into the data. Otherwise, you have issues with the generators of the data that what they are saying is not true. So there is also a documentation, a detailed one, of course, which directs you as to what is contained in the data. So we have the questionnaires in there, we have a README file, we also have the manuals. And these documents present to you a detailed description of each of the issues that we have contained in the data. So you don't start using the data with an in-depth understanding of these documents. So you need to really pay attention to the documentations before you can use our data. So this data is hosted on our National Data Archive on GSS website. So if you need this data, you can just go to the website, which I'll be demonstrating shortly, and then you go through the processes and you have access to the 10% 2021 population and housing census microdata. All right, so this is how the interface look like, which I'm going to demonstrate. So we'll hook onto the website, and then I walk you through how you can access the 10% microdata for use. So just to encourage all of us, researchers, other users, you can have access to our 10% microdata now of the population and housing census and use it for whatever you want to use it for. So please, let's go to the website and then see how we access the data. So when you hook on to startghana.gov.gh website, this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. So you can see where the cursor is now. There are 3 drop-downs there. We have data request form. The data request form, if you need a special statistics which is not contained in that data, you can request by filling a data request form, which will be submitted, and then the data processing team will work on it and then respond to you. But if you need access to the 10% microdata, you go to data download as it is displayed there. So once you click on data download, it takes you to our data sets we have already published. And I'm happy to announce that the first one is a 2021 population and housing census microdata. So this is how the interface looks like. Any other data sets you need, you can find in there. If you're a first-time user, and this is the first time you are having access to see our website, this is how the data sets have been displayed. We have data on 2010 census as well, demographic and health survey all the rounds. We have Ghana Living Standard survey all the rounds. All those data sets are in there. If you want to do any comparative study and you need data for all these years, you can hook on and then you have access to them. All right, so please let's go on. Let's click on 2021 population and housing census data, the very first one. The very first one. Okay, sorry, it's a bit of a technical challenge there. All right, so as we wait for the issue to be resolved, yeah, so basically that is what you do. You click on the particular data set you're interested in, and if you're a first-time user, we require you to register. Okay, you have to register, and the registration helps us a lot. It helps us to trace our users. It also helps us to trace the product they are using. And then it also helps us to assess their level of satisfaction in terms of the product we have displayed. for them to use. So if you're a first-time user, you have to register, and if this interface opens, that is what we are going to see. Then after that, but if you have already registered before, all you need is your login credentials, you use your email address, and then a password. Then you have access to the microdata. I think the system has a little challenge. So once you do that, you download the data set, and then you use it for whatever analysis you want to use it for. All right, please, let's wait for a minute for them to. All right, so please, we sincerely apologize for the technical hinge in here. The internet is very down, and we are not able to go through all the processes. So basically, this is what you do if you want to access data on our website, especially the 2021 population and housing census. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Simon. And like I said earlier, we need you to pick the data and work with it, come out with issues that will help move our nation and even your little village forward. So let us try and do that. Next is we want to invite our head of industrial statistics, Mr. Anthony Kraka, to give us a gist. And you've heard of CPI, so we also want you to hear something about a producer price inflation that we calculate. So he's going to tell you a little bit about it, so that you leave here as you go to the stand. You know what you want to ask, and then the questions to ask further. So, Tony, please.
Thank you very much, moderator. Right. So, I'm here to just give a gist on the producer price index that Ghana Statistical Service have been producing and publishing all these years. As you rightly know, there's a CPI, that's the Consumer Price Index, which looks at inflation from the consumer perspective. When you go to the market, what you and I buy, the rate at which those prices change, the consumer perspective. However, we have the other one from the producer's perspective. You know, when the producers produce, it takes some time. It goes through a channel before the goods and services gets or the goods get to the consumer level. For instance, the middlemen have to cut the goods from the producers, from the factory gates, and then they add their margins, the transportation, and all that before the goods get to the consumer, you and I, to buy. Now, at the factory gate, that's what we are measuring. We are measuring price changes at the factory gate before the goods leave the factory to the market. Over the years, what we have been doing, GSS have done over the years is just to focus on industry, the industry sector, which is made up of manufacturing, mining, and quarrying, and utilities. But we have, we launched a rebase of these indicators about a month ago, where we have expanded the scope from these 3 sectors to about 8 sectors that the government assistant talked about. For instance, we have included, apart from manufacturing, mining, and electricity, we also now have the water and sewage and waste management and all that. We have communication, we have information communication, we have construction, we have transportation and storage activities, we have accommodation and food, we have so now we've expanded from the 3 to about 8 subsectors of the economy. This gives us a better perspective, giving a complete picture of inflation from the producer's perspective. You will agree with me that minus these other sectors, then would have been limited in scope in terms of what we have been measuring from the producer's perspective. And also, there was a need to have done this because we need to account for the structural changes in the economy over the period. For instance, our previous PPI that we are publishing didn't have the crude oil sector. But since we got the crude oil in 2010, we now have to now include it in the computation of the PPI. And so, as we speak, under mining and quarrying, we have the crude oil there. And so, now, unlike previously where we were only publishing 1 newsletter for the PPI, now we have about 4 newsletters. And when it comes to our stand, we find all of them. One that gives you a general summary of PPI, and then you have one on only industry, less construction. And then you have one only on construction sector, and then you have one on the services sector. When it comes to our stands at the back there, we'll give you much more details on what we have done so far. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kraka. We are grateful. And now we've heard from the microdata, a presentation on the microdata, and also on the PPI, the Producer Price Index. So we also want to give some time for Q&A. We want to seek some clarity. If you want to make a contribution, please, the floor is open. So, hello? Yes, Nana. Simon, are you around? Okay.
Yeah, thank you. This one goes to Simon.
Please join me here.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Nana. ICT is in there. ICT is a question on individuals. So all the variables are listed on individual members in the household. You find ICT as a part of it. So it's in there. Thank you.
So we have very good presenters, or the other way. But I believe their presentation was straight to the point. So that is the reason why we are not seeing
many hands. We are not getting many questions. Contribution, okay. That is the director for surveys and censuses, and the only female chief statistician in the country, Mrs. Abina Asamwabia Oseyakutu. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Osei. I get complaints about people saying that they are looking for data and they can't find data on our website. So the process that Simon did, whichever data you are looking for, if it is listed there, you should be able to download after you've done your registration and all that. So please, accessing our data, go to our website, and then go through the process that Simon took us through, and then you will have your data. I think this goes with students. So please, go through, just try the process. If you have any challenges, please, when you contact us, we should be able to take you through again to ensure that you have the data that you are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. So the data is not only on the census, but on all, yes, that the surveys and censuses that the service has conducted. You go there, you will get it. So please, yes, your name and then you tell us.
My name is Gosen Kwe.
Okay.
So we are talking about the census data and other data. What we are saying to the public is that as they are using the data, who once come to them to ask them of the data that they use. That is the user satisfaction survey, to know how important the data they use, how it has helped them. So as they use the data, researchers, students will come to them to know the importance of the data that they have used. So they should put that in their mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Godson. What Godson wants to tell us is that we do this, what we call the user satisfaction survey, to assess ourselves and also assess the national statistical system, so that it helps us to improve upon what we deliver to you as stakeholders. Because if you don't use the data, then we have no work to do. So we will come to you, and when we come, please do accept our enumerators or interviewers. Thank you very much. Yes.
To add to what Gossin said, I played with the general public that when they are providing their details, they should give us correct addresses. Because you realize people fill in the form and their contact and their details, when you're trying to follow them up, they are wrong addresses. So they should give us credible individual data so that we can also know their level of satisfaction after using the data. Because with their feedback, we cannot serve them better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other? Well, then Simon, for discharge. So on that note, shall we please give all presenters a round of applause? We are grateful to you, Mr. Omar Seidu, Mr. Kwesi Dapo, Mr. John Foster, Kwabena Ajaho, Mr. Simon Olilimo Chichutap, and Mr. Anthony Kraka. We are grateful. So on this note, can we please invite our Deputy Government Statistician to give us a closing remark, after which we will move to the data fair for the exhibition.
you all. And can I have the board member upstage and all presenters, please be upstage with me. All presenters, please come upstage. Statistical service is about data. I'm looking at you, so please come up. And all presenters, please come up. Thank you. Our mandate as a service is to be a trusted provider of official statistics. Again, we want to make people understand that within the service, in time past, we have decided to go an extra mile. That's why we've made provision. It's not only on our censuses or surveys, but how can we use big data? How can we use administrative data that is at a very low cost to be able to help us meet the needs of our demands? If people do not use our data, we cease to be relevant. That is why day in and day out, we're doing all our possible best to go extra mile. Data is not static. It's changing every day. And so if we do not change the ways and means in which we generate our information, we cease to be relevant. Again, our drive as a service is to ensure that the government, policymakers, planners use data. We want to make Ghana a statistical community. A place where you don't just get up and say, today I feel like having light soup, and therefore, what's the quantity? You must plan. How many balls of onion you put in, the tomatoes, the salt, the meat, the fish. In that same way, to get a new flavor. In the same way, for us as statisticians, what we put in there to ensure that people get the flavor they want. How do you plan your district? How do you plan your whole household? How do we plan the economy without statistics? We are the bedrock of this nation. For it to develop, whether at the regional, district, at your household level, without us, Ghana ceases to exist. And therefore, with this data fair, we want to make people aware that these are the censuses, the surveys that we generate. We go an extra mile to do other things to ensure that we feed the need to have that information to guide us in our decision making. And so, as all gathered here, again, for all our stakeholders and our partners, we work together because we are all statisticians in one way or the other in the data that you generate. We'll be coming to you. We want to make it such that we harmonize the information that we give out, such that when I say inflation rate is the same as what somebody is mentioning out there, or we have the common understanding of what we are sharing. And so as ambassadors, as we have come here, we entreat you that as you go to the stands, please ask all the possible questions. When you use our data, give us feedback. If you tell us that the way you measure maybe growth rate is not too accurate or we don't like it, we go back and think through what are the new ways to help us manage or run this new data people are requiring. If you do not give us feedback, we will not be able to serve you better. To help us serve the nation better, to help us that all the MDAs within the country will use data or statistics to inform their decision making. Please help us understand what we use this information for and guide us that we use it, and as you use it, then we'll be encouraged to give more. Again, we have also put out there our shape files. And so it's not just the information you have there. When you go on our website too, the shape file, even to the district level, so that you can have that interactive activity we are talking about. We also pledging that we will finish with the post-census cartographic activity, and we'll give it to you at a lower level, maybe at the locality, so that you'll be able to plan. And so on behalf of Ghana Statistical Service, on the government statistician, the board of Ghana Statistical Service, management and staff, we are grateful to you all for spending time with us to understand and to share with us the kind of information we put out there. As we go out to the stands, please ask questions. Give us, decisions. Give us ideas, new ways, or things they are thinking about, so that we'll be able to generate those data. We have those people who dream. So give us the ideas. We'll send to our dreamers. They'll dream and say that maybe let's plan it this way. And so right now, we are not only giving official statistics, we also give experimental statistics such that people will use to be able to benefit the nation. Therefore, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our Deputy Government Statistician, Dr. Faustina Frimpong Engwa. We are grateful for these closing remarks. All we are being told today is that be good ambassadors of
Ghana Statistical Service. Now, we know what we do. So from here, go and get further details of what transpired at Ghana Statistical Service, so that when you go home, you can get a message that I attended the program today, and this is what I brought home. So we have stands on census, where we displaying a dashboard also to see how we can generate some statistics for ourselves as we are home. And then also you'll see something on the PPI, and then other products also will be on displays over there. The census reports that has been churned out so far are also there, and then some of the publicity materials are also there to tell you how we went about the process. I mean, the census, to be able to get the data for you. So please, let us all pass there, as DGS said, and make sure that we are able at least get 2 things from here and then take home. And I believe we will all go home more statistically informed, so that we can help build our nation well. So on that note, we want to call upon Mr. Muhammad Abdullahi to give us a closing prayer. Muhammad. Shall we pray? Father, Lord, we're grateful once again to you for bringing us together. As we end this session and move to the other, we ask for your direction. We ask for understanding, even as we approach the various stands. It is our prayer that the interaction will be fruitful. And we pray that even as we finish that aspect also and leave this place to our various offices and our homes, it is our prayer that you grant us traveling mercies and take us back home safely. We thank you and we bless you through Christ our Lord. Amen. Thank you very much for coming. So please visit the stand, and then let us